The Denver Nuggets get by the Los Angeles Clippers in Game 7, and Russell Westbrook has what I'm calling playoff redemption. We're also going to talk about the Houston Rockets getting their Game 7 today against the Golden State Warriors, and can they get past that team, as well as the Cavaliers and Indiana Pacers series starting. We're going to get to all that and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host here, Haize, and hey man, that game last night, we were live during the game. The Denver Nuggets completely kill the Los Angeles Clippers in this game. This game was really over with basically by the end of the first half. They scored 31 points in the second quarter, 37 points in the second quarter of this game to the Denver Nuggets. They followed that up with a 35-point third quarter where they only give up 19 points, and it was over with at that point. The Clippers did try to go on some runs at that point, after that, but it never really was out of the grasp of the Denver Nuggets in this. They win this game 120-101 to go on to the second round of the playoffs, and this is major. The Denver Nuggets are a team that, despite having, a MVP candidate in Nikola Jokic, which we're 4 days away from that award being announced. He moves on to a series against the OKC Thunder, which is the two guys that are considered number one and number two, the best two candidates to win the MVP this year. So that's going to be a fun series to see the MVP being named while a series against those two players is going on, right? That's going to make it really fun. But the Nuggets were able to win this game with Jokic only scoring 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists in this game. That's how major this game was. And Russell Westbrook had a huge impact for the Denver Nuggets in this game. 16 points off the bench. He goes 5 of 9 from the field. He makes several big shots in this game as well. You get 22 points from Aaron Gordon, 21 points from Christian Braun as well. Jamal Murray with 16 points. Like, if you told me that Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic would only combine for 16 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists in this game, I wouldn't have believed it. I would not have believed it. But hey, Jokic still gets his double-double, almost a triple-double with 8 assists, but it was a pedestrian night. Like, that is one of the most human stat lines you will ever see from Nikola Jokic in your life. And his team still won by almost 20 points. They're up by as much as 30 points at a point in this game. That is the type of game that this was. And, I'm sure this was cathartic for Russell Westbrook and for Jokic and just the Denver Nuggets with removing their coach, all those type of things, and still being able to have this type of season has been really major, man. So they move on to the OKC Thunder. I don't know how I feel about their chances to win against the OKC Thunder. That we'll see how that goes. The Thunder are just a buzzsaw, and they're going to be able to throw a lot of different looks at Jokic, which is one of the things the Clippers were able to do in this one. They were fronting Jokic, making him kind of hesitate and think about things he would do at times. His supporting staff really stood up. But it really is the starting five of the Denver Nuggets and Russell Westbrook, right? Not to say that you don't get solid contributions at time. Peyton Watson had 9 points, for example, in yesterday's game, but a lot of that coming in garbage time. Like, you get other players to step up at times, but it's really just those 6 players. It's the starting five. It's Russ. And that's really what you're gonna have. And so the Thunder having so many different looks and so many different players, so many different defensive looks that they can throw, I think are going to really make this series a difficult one for the Denver Nuggets. But we'll see how it goes. Well, shout out to Russ for being able to have this series that he had. Like I said, I called it the playoff redemption for Russ because Russ over the last couple of stops, he's really been kind of made the scapegoat for a lot. And it's unfortunate because Russ is still a player that, as he's shown in this series, he can still be effective. Does he have his things and his shortcomings? Absolutely. But he's still a player that can definitely be effective for you. And so, I love the fact that he had this type of series. I just love that Russ was able to have this, was able to do something in this series. And we'll see if it can continue, right? They're going to need every single bit of it against the OKC Thunder. I think overall, the Nuggets are going to have to, you're going to have Jokic be Jokic for every game in that series. It's going to be an important part of it. But on top of Jokic being Jokic, you're going to need Aaron Gordon. Michael Porter Jr., who has an injury that you can tell has been hurting him over the course of the series. not to excuse some of his play, but you can definitely tell it's been something that's been affecting him. And so you need him to play better at times as well for you. So they're going to need every bit of it against that OKC Thunder team that's just playing historic levels. And we'll see what they can do. But let me know down below, you guys watching this live or watching it after the fact, what chances do you give against the Denver Nuggets against the OKC Thunder? How many games do you see that series going? I would love to hear that from you guys as well. But moving on, we do have another game 7 today. That's the Houston Rockets versus the Golden State Warriors. This one is in Houston. And for any other team having a home court advantage in game 7, I'd automatically look at that as that's you give the lean there to the team that's playing at home. Unfortunately, the Golden State Warriors are the team with experience, right? The Houston Rockets is their first year really playing in a playoff run like this. And so it's going to be a difficult one, right? And I think it's going to come down to the Rockets are going to have to be very almost perfect defensively. And who's going to step up offensively for you, right? That's the thing. You haven't had really good Jalen Green games the last couple of games. That was one of the things I was looking out for in this series is how many good Jalen Green games do you get, right? That's going to be really important. But Fred VanVleet has absolutely stepped up amazingly for this team, especially over the last 2 games. He's been really important to it. And so it's kind of overcome a little bit of that, of course. But Jalen Green, you hope that Jalen Green is going to play better for you. Over the course of the 6 games in this series so far, Jalen Green is averaging 14 points on 37% shooting. 37% shooting from the field, 31% shooting from three-point line. Keep in mind, he had a 38-point game in game 2, and he's only averaging 14 points in the series. He's had more single-digit games than he's had games above 15 points. That's how bad it's been for Jalen Green. And so I don't want to all of a sudden expect him to do differently because it's game 7. But if you can get a good Jalen Green game this game, it really helps your chances against the Golden State Warriors. But Fred VanVleet's been absolutely amazing for this team. I think when you look at the experience that he brings, a lot of the criticism thrown his way at times as well. But if it wasn't for the game that Fred VanVleet had, especially in game 6, the Rockets aren't even at this point. Right? You need Fred VanVleet to continue to play really good for you. He's averaging 19 points per game in this series on 42% shooting, 42% shooting from 3 as well. He's 3 straight games of 25 points or more. You're going to need another one of those games today. You're going to need another one of those against the Golden State Warriors. If you don't get that, it's going to be an ugly, ugly game potentially for this team. So, I want to see the Rockets move on. Nothing against the Golden State Warriors, but this young up-and-coming team in the Rockets that, I think they're going to make a move this offseason for sure. I expect the Rockets to make a pretty big move this offseason to add something that this team needs. But as you continue on, you had a 52-win season. You finished the season winning a crazy amount of games straight just to miss out on the play-in. So I think the Rockets either way are ahead of schedule. The player, Amin Thompson, who's probably going to be your best player, as it shapes up, like he's going to continue to develop. And, he's the player that I look at that's going to be their best overall player at some point soon. But you need an additional score, right? And so when Jalen Green's not playing good, Alperen's been solid this season. Dylan Brooks, for the most part, has been able to stay out of being a complete head case in this series, and he's giving you some good time as well. You got Sengun averaging over 20 points per game and 11 rebounds in this series. You need all of that. You need all of that. And the Rockets are going to have all hands on deck for this game against the Golden State Warriors tonight, because if they aren't prepared and you allow the Warriors to get out in rhythm, you don't throw them off their game. We know Jimmy, Steph, so much of their offense is based off what those 2 players can do. But you got Pods, who's having a pretty good series as well for this Golden State Warriors team, right? The experience of the Warriors is the thing that you're looking at. And that, that's why I don't necessarily have this as like the Rockets is just the favorite to win this game. They're going to have to work. They're going to have to work to win this game. If they, if they allow Steph to go off or anything like that, it could be really ugly. Steph's averaging 24 points per game in this series. You got Jimmy Butler averaging 18, and then you got Pods and Moses Moody right behind them at both averaging 11 points. So much of what the Warriors do offensively is coming from Steph and from Jimmy Butler, whether it's creation off them, whether it's them getting to the free throw line, whatever it is. You need to be locked in. If you're not locked in, it's going to be an ugly series ugly game 7, because the series is over with after tonight. And so, the winner of that series, we'll see who's going to be after this game. And I think either way though, against the Timberwolves, I do think either of these teams can advance against the Timberwolves. It's not like the Thunder. Like I'm picking the Thunder to win over the Nuggets, but if you get the Rockets Timberwolves in the second round, that series can go 7 games. If you get the Warriors in the Timberwolves, I can see that series going 7 games. So the path to either one of those teams, no matter who it is, the Timberwolves or the winner between the Golden State Warriors and Rockets, they're going to have a difficult series before the conference finals. And so, we'll see who ends up being in that one. But let me know what you guys think of this down below. Who do you have winning this game 7 today, the Houston Rockets or the Golden State Warriors? Let me know that. And then who do you have winning in that next series? But let's move on. We are getting the start of the second round in the Eastern Conference today. That's the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Indiana Pacers, their first game going down. The Pacers being the 4th seed, the Cavs, of course, being the 1st seed overall in the Eastern Conference. This is going to be a matchup that I think is going to be a lot more of a fun series. I still got the Cavs probably winning in 5, right? I think the Pacers are going to be able to steal a game here. I got the Cavs winning, but I think that each of these games are going to be really fun games to watch. Personally, I think with the way that the Pacers play offensively, how well Halliburton has played at times against the Cleveland Cavaliers, it's been a pretty even series between these two teams as well. I think they went 2-2 over the regular season. So the Cavs defensively have a whole nother gear, right? And we know that the Pacers aren't the most amazing defensive team in the league, but they finished the season at around the 16th defensive rating as far as over that last stretch since the All-Star break. And that's really the key for the Pacers. They don't have to be an amazing team because of how good their amazing defensive team because of how good their offense is, but they need to be competent defensively. And it's going to be a tough matchup and tough go for them against this Cleveland Cavaliers team today. Watch what I say. But this Cavs team, I started off as a little bit doubtful over the Cavs at the beginning of the season. Probably the first month of the season, I was like, the Cavs are playing really good, but are they going to be able to maintain it? They shut me up in that regard. They are so good offensively, so good defensively. Darius Garland and his injury is going to be a big part of this. How well does he play? If he plays, things like that are going to be really big parts of this. But you need Darius Garland, I think, to be in this. And I'm not one that's going to say and look at it as, oh, well, they can easily win this series without Darius Garland too. I think it is going to make it a lot more difficult for them. He's listed as questionable as it stands right now. I think that we'll see what the Cavs do as far as putting him on the basketball court or not. But that Darius Garland injury could be the wild card as this series starts. And if the Pacers can steal one early, one of these first 2 games early against the Cleveland Cavaliers, that could change the outlook of the series before it heads back to Indiana. Again, I'm not expecting that to happen, but I am saying that it is something to look out for because you just never know, right? You never know how injury can affect your team and how a team could step up against that. But the Pacers are going to have an uphill battle against this Cleveland Cavaliers team. They've been so good the entirety of the season, beating teams by such a wide margin, and they swept that Miami Heat team handedly, right? The Pacers, I do give them a much better chance than the Miami Heat, of course, but they're gonna have to play sound. You're gonna need Tyrese Halliburton to really step up. You're gonna need Pascal Siakam as well in the series, and then I also think you have to look at what are the contributions you're getting off the bench in this one because the Cavs have so much quality depth, right? Like Dean Wade, I think has the highest net rating against the Pacers this season. Like, and not to say that Dean Wade's like some end all be all player, but like the Cavs have depth. They have depth. And so far in the playoffs, you got of course Pascal Siakam leading the Pacers in scoring at right under 20 points per game. But the way that the Pacers do it, they have 7 players averaging double figures in the playoffs so far. And that's how the Pacers get it done. And that's how they're going to have to get it done against the Cleveland Cavaliers team. They're going to have to hit them with a barrage to make the Cavs switch defensively. And if they don't do that, of course, it plays better into the Cleveland Cavaliers' hands, in my opinion. But we'll see how it plays out, man. This is a series that I think it's going to be a very fun series to watch. It's been a very fun playoffs. How physical this series gets, of course, too, I think could play in the Cleveland Cavaliers' hands more than the Pacers' hands. My personal opinion. You have to look out for that. But without Darius Garland in this one, or if he doesn't end up playing in this game, again, we don't know for sure. He's listed as questionable. If he ends up not playing in this game, that takes the player that he's leading the team in scoring in the playoffs. Now, he's only played 2 games in the playoffs, but he's averaging 24 points. And, and them getting past the Miami Heat without Garland is a lot different against a team with the firepower that the Indiana Pacers have. So we'll see how that ends up playing out for this team also. But Let me know what you guys think on all that down below. We will be live tonight for the Houston Rockets game on this channel, so make sure you guys stay in tune with us for that. You can follow us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything basketball related. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.